So the idea here is based off of some research produced by Jeff Clune in his lab. So imagine that you guys are trying to start making some agents that automate some of the offensive penetration testing workflows. How are you going to do this? It's really, really hard to just take something and try to optimize. Okay, go ahead and go get domain administrator. Go and hack this network. That's a really abstract goal to solve. So what some of the research is showing is that you need to start making some smaller, attainable goals that your agents can learn from an iterative approach. Our solution to this idea was instead of trying to go and take a corporate enterprise scale network, start deploying smaller iterative networks, starting from something very simple, such as here's a single domain controller where the domain administrator's password is password, and start building on top of that using an LLM to distinguish this is a small network that we previously had, this is a small network that was previously hacked, what small steps should be taken, and then start deploying those into the cloud. Our approach here is that we have an LLM that once initialized will create that single domain controller with a simple domain administrator, and then it'll try to specify what things in the network it needs, and then create Terraform code on top of that. And then if the Terraform code is incorrect or broken, it will validate that code, fix itself, and then iteratively perform this process until you give it a stop function or something along those lines. So really annoying that I can't zoom in here. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I don't know, tough. But in this example here, we can see that, oh, hello. Gotcha, I got it. So here's an example where we have the LLM describing its the network it needs. So some of the things it needs are 2 domain controllers. It needs OUs for users, computers, groups, some DNS configuration, and some security practices. This is then translated into Terraform configuration that we have set up with some AWS config. I know the text is real small. I'm sorry, guys. And then this is then validated and then written out to a file. I can show an example here. If you could hold this, thanks, B. So over here we have one of the, let's see. All these are dumped out. These are generated by the LLMs. So these are all Terraform files. If I go back into initial setup where I was, and I tried to deploy duplicate provider. Oops. And I try to deploy the code that the LLM has generated. Select yes. All the files are, all the configuration that was generated by the LLM gets applied to our AWS instance. However, in its current state, this isn't perfect. The LLM is really not great at figuring out the network. Hello? Okay, we're back. Okay, so sorry, Rob. The LLM isn't great at figuring out networking issues. If I were to go back and do this from the start, I probably wouldn't give it something as broad as our AWS instance in Terraform. Security specific tools, something like Ludus, I think would be a great addition. And this goes back to the presentation we saw earlier that you really need to simplify and have guardrails for your agents, or else they're going to have a hard time finishing a pretty broad task. But yeah, so that's what we got today. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
What was their project name?
Walmart 2.
Walmart 2? Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Actually makes a lot of sense. Using LLMs to launch infrastructure everywhere. So